Hi guys, my name is Heidi and Heidi Heffelfinger, and in this presentation I'd like to tell you about several important firsts in my life. So let's get started with my first day. My first day. Okay, my first day was August 12th, 1967, and I was born in Wheeling, West Virginia. And I will tell you, my dad was very upset because I was the only child out of three of them in my family that had to be born in West Virginia. And my dad was not happy about one of us being born in West Virginia because my older sister and brother got to be born in Ohio. So, yes, I have two siblings, Kathy and David, and one is 12 years older than me and one is 10 years older than me. I was not the accident. Everybody's like, oh, you must have been. I was not. My older sister is 12
Yes, you
years.
were.
No,
They did not expect that.
No, my older sister, who was 12 years older than me, she kept asking my mom for a baby sister for a couple years. And so my mom and dad tried, and
Pulled out a baby sister.
yes, isn't that amazing?
That is.
My first pet, imagine this, it was a cat. My first cat, his name was Star, and my cousin, in Martins Ferry, Ohio, and she had some kittens where she lived, and my mom let me take Star home, and I was, oh God, I can't even remember, I was little, but I was probably 4 or 5 or something like that, and he was an orange and white cat, he was a male cat. But in Martinsbury, we would let our cats and our dogs roam the world, and they were all over the city, and both of them. And Star was a male cat outside and would get in fights often, and so I was probably 9 years old where we ended up having to put him asleep for that.
No.
And no, I never had any more cats after Star. My mother always had poodles, but I never had any cats after Star until, obviously now, until later on. But I knew I was always going to get cats. My first team. Well, what I can remember back to. My first team, probably, I did play volleyball in high school. All 4 years. I really loved it. My friends and I all decided to join together, and one of the things I remember, how good or bad were you? I was so-so. I'm a little short for volleyball.
That's what I was gonna say. No.
But you're light on your feet, baby.
But what are some of your fondest memories? Well, we had a lot of fun, and our coach would be like, okay, we're going to have you run around the high school. And my friend and I would be like, are we really going to run around the high school? And no, we would not. We would go halfway. Or the other thing is doing some things in the bus we really probably shouldn't have. But,
Details.
yeah, when someone called the school and we're in trouble for mooning people. Anyways,
Oh my goodness.
my
First
first
time I heard
sweetheart.
Such a 70s thing. Oh
What
my
was
gosh.
their name and how old were you? I will tell you, probably I have to say I met him in church when I was in 8th grade and he was a freshman. And I kept telling my cousin that as soon as I got to high school, I was going to date him.
Oh.
His name was Jesse, and he was a high school wrestler. And how long did it last? Well, till I probably a freshman or sophomore in college. And
You were Jesse's girl?
I was Jesse's girl.
Wow.
I really was in the 80s.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
he got and I will say the best thing about the relationship was he got a scholarship to Ohio State for wrestling, and that's the whole reason I came to Ohio State, and
Oh,
that's what got me here.
wow.
Nice.
What memories do you have of the relationship? It was I was obsessed for for being in high school. We break up several times, get back together, break up and get back together.
You know, I've
But-
never heard this stuff. This is new to me. Keep going, honey. Let it out.
And do I know where this person is today? Well, he's back in
Are you gonna do
Martinsbury.
fight?
He's actually back in Martinsbury and he dropped out of college.
I'm gonna
and so
challenge
now-
you to a duel.
No, you don't need to. But anyways, my first car. Oh my God, my first car. I did not get a car
Festiva.
till after I graduated from college,
Wow.
and it was a Ford Festiva.
I had one of those.
Did you really?
Red.
Four
And
seats.
red. Mine was red with a little gray stripe. And I will tell you, I graduated from college, and I bought it back in St. Clairsville, Ohio. And my brother-in-law was like, "Okay, I'll take you out and we'll buy a car together," because he's this big car dealer type wheeler dealer person, and I couldn't
Still
do
is.
that.
Yeah, still is.
And so we got there, and he's like, "Okay, this is the car we can get." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's fine. This is kind of cute, a box on wheels, and that looks good, and that's fine." And it was a Standard. And I'm like, "I don't know how to drive a Standard." He's like, "Oh, but you will." And so I learned how to drive it. No, it did not have a name, and did it survive you? You know what? I drove that car until I met and married Scott, and we got pregnant with Michaela, and I decided he had a Geo Metro, and I had a Ford Festiva, and I decided with a baby on the way, we needed a bigger car.
True.
So I traded it in
Geo
for
Metro
a
had a
Ford
three-cylinder
Taurus.
motor.
Yeah.
1 liter.
And then my first run in, oh God, we really don't want to know this.
Yeah,
my
we
first
do.
run
This
in
will
with
be my first
Laura.
time hearing this. Speak up, Heidi.
Okay, my first run in the law.
Make sure it doesn't interfere with your social work license.
Should I pause this video?
Going on the internet.
Pause it.
Notifications and shit.
We're not recording this now. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead. Speak freely,
When I was probably in high school, I hung around with a group of like 12 different girls. There were 12 of us, and we always had a lot of fun, and it was, but we got in the bad habit of, oh God, I hate to tell you. Stealing
This is
makeup.
how serious you go.
Stealing makeup.
Stealing makeup.
Whoa!
It was
Oh.
kind of this thing that it was,
Oh my.
and so
There's
yes,
a lesson.
I was caught one time with one of my friends, and she wasn't doing it, but I was, and so it was so funny because they took me up to Martin's.
Wait, I missed what you were doing. They were hollering out here.
I stole some makeup.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Oh, mascara, lipstick,
But anyway,
whatever.
something like that.
All right.
So anyways,
I'm with you.
we went up, and they took me up to Martin's Ferry Prison or whatever.
Time.
No, they took me up, whatever it's called. Where you
She
go.
looked great.
And so
She had all her makeup on.
and I looked damn good. And I had to call somebody. And so I called my house, and my brother, who still lived at home at that time, had answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, David, okay, listen, I'm up here at the police station," and he's like, "What are you doing there?" And I said, "Well, I took something." And he's like, "Oh my God, what drugs were you taking?"
They didn't have drugs back then, did
And
they?
I said, "No drugs, but some makeup." Oh my God, I would have bought you the makeup. Take your makeup. Anyway, so, but the whole lesson learned out of this was when I had to go to court for this, my mother and I showed up to go to court, and then my cousin and her father were there, and I'm like, what the hell are you here for? Same thing. And so yes, and so no, I never stole anything ever again. So literally,
Lesson learned.
so
Wow.
yes, so I did learn from the experience.
Now she pays for everything she takes
So-
out.
My first job, how old were you and what was the job? Oh, my first job, I was a very fortunate child. I didn't have to have a job till the
Hey, you
summer
steal
after
it,
my
you don't need to
senior
work.
year. And it was that Select Market. And the person who owned Select Market was a friend of my brother's.
What's select
And
market?
it was like a little deli, a little
Convenience store?
convenience store, but it was tiny, and it had, you know, the little deli in it, and it had food that served. And
7-Eleven
so
type thing. Yeah.
Debbie owned it, and Debbie was like, okay, so let's get you trained and everything. And I'm like, listen, I am not gonna run this meat slicer because I am too afraid of that. I cannot do that.
Seriously, they're dangerous.
And so, yes, they're very dangerous. And so no, I wouldn't do that. But anyway, she was kind enough to let me just stay on the cash register or stocking or something like that until
I
I
could just
left
see you.
for college.
I could just
No good stories about my coworkers. I don't even remember who was there, as a matter of fact. Just thank you everyone for listening.